to the conversation that it will evince. Kia ora.
I call Ian McKelvey.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. As usual, I won't waste a lot of words on this bill, but I have to comment on the fact that this is the first time I've spoken in this House where the Greens have agreed with something I'm going to speak on, so I'm very pleased about that. It's always a first for everything, I suppose. Mr Speaker, this bill removes barriers to better practice in the disciplinary area of our communities, and I certainly support it to the next stage on the basis of that. I'm also a strong believer in community-served sentences, and I think that this bill will improve the processes around that, make it easier for us to implement those in the future, and I think those will play a very important role in the future of our disciplinary processes in this country as we move forward. My own community of Fielding has had a significant amount of investment in this area and the facilities to ensure the successful outcome of these types of sentences. And so anything that this bill does to make that system more efficient and to allow better processes to take place around the community's sentencing of people, I think is a great bonus for us. So I'm certainly in favour from that perspective. The bill, as has been said, modifies a number of acts that aren't all that old in this process, but nonetheless some important changes to those bills will take place. And I can't help but agree with a lot of the changes I've read about in the process of this bill. I think it is the way forward for us in New Zealand to improve the processes that we work on to improve the lot of our communities and our prisoners and people who have, I guess, offended in some way. I look forward to serving on the Law and Order Subcommittee through the Select Committee process of this bill, and certainly serving on the Law and Order Subcommittee has given me a much greater understanding of the processes that our communities and our law and order institutions go through to get the results they get. And I think in New Zealand we should be very proud of the results we are getting now around law and order and the kind of reintroduction of prisoners and people who have offended into our communities. And I think that's an aspect this government has taken a strong lead in the last 3.5 years, and I think this bill will progress that significantly in the future. I want to talk briefly about this government's record in the field of law and order, and I think it's pretty spectacular to some extent that... Did you say Chris Farford was your record? I didn't say that, Mr Speaker, at all. No, that's Mallard. Well, no. I really was wondering, though, Mr Speaker, whether the member for Hutt South's coat was made in the hut, as usual. I want to talk, as I said, briefly about this government's record, and there's been a significant reduction in crime. And as a former mayor, as Andrew Williams was, I think one of the things that concerned us was when you had a reduction in crime in our area, because we inevitably got a reduction in service as a result of that from the police, and they'd take people away from us, put them in some place where the crime was increasing. But nonetheless, we have reduced crime significantly in the last 3 years. We've reduced prison numbers, which I think is a pretty significant factor as well, and I hope that that continues, although I realise, as the last speaker did, that we need to contain prisoners who are both a danger to themselves and to society alike. We're also improving prison conditions, and we're making it easier to receive discipline in your own environment, and that's what this bill is all about. So, Mr Speaker, with those few words, I have no problem commending this bill to the next process, and I look forward to discussing that in the Law and Order Subcommittee as well, Select Committee as well. So, thank you.
I call Asanati Lole Taylor.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I am pleased to